Greetings. I am Brother Sylvester Muhammad, and this is my wife.
Sister Sandra Muhammad.
And we are amongst the many students of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in his representation of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Today we will be continuing on that reading from that great book, Message to the Black Man in America.
That's right.
All right, so we have come from 7-8 trillion all the way down to 6,000 year timeline. And that is the making of devil. Now, my wife is going to start to read, but before she read, while she's preparing, I want to reiterate again, please. Even the Caucasians do not know their history. Okay, we know their history because they are grafted from us. They came from us. We are the original. So you're going to hear some things today that might be offensive if you're Caucasian, but if you accept the truth, it can make you free. But the thing is that we are the original. Our story is a story that has never been told before the coming of Allah in the person of Master Father Muhammad. All right, let us begin.
Okay, I'll be reading from Message to the Black Man on page 118.
Excuse me. Go on.
Okay, it reads, since we have learned that Mr. Yaqub was an original man, black, the arrogant of our people may say, if Yaqub was a black man and the father of the devil, then he was a devil. That is like one saying, the horse is as much a mule as the mule. Or that an orange or lemon is as much grapefruit as the grapefruit.
Now, you got another one?
Yeah, because the grapefruit is grafted from the orange and lemon.
Because the grapefruit is grafted from the orange and the lemon. That's telling you that white folks know about graftation.
That's right.
See? They tell you they know how to make a grapefruit from an orange and a lemon.
That's right.
They know how to make a mule from a stallion, donkey,
Yeah. That's right.
male, and a female horse. He's big, tall, but he looks just like, that mule looks just like a donkey. So, graftation, that's what happened during the time of the making of devil by Dr. Yaqub, okay? He separated the original germ and only grafted from the brown to the lighter until he got Caucasian.
That's right.
Come on.
Okay, it also states that they are not alike.
They're not
Because
alike.
the grafted is no longer original.
The grafted is no longer original. In the case of the human being, any live germ grafted from original is devil.
That's right. Just what have we learned, or rather are learning from this divine revelation of our enemies, the devils? Answer, we are learning the truth, which has been kept a secret for 6,000 years concerning the white race, who have deceived us. We learned what is meant by the Bible's symbolic teachings, that they were made from dust. This only tends to convey the idea that they were created from nothing, which means the low and humble origin of such creation.
Low and humble origin of such creation. Go on.
Again, we learn who the Bible Genesis 1 and 26 is referring to in the saying, let us make man. This us was 59,999 black men and women, making or grafting them into the likeness or image of the original man.
That's Yaqub on the island of Patmos.
That's right.
Yaqub on the island of Patmos going to graft from the original people at that time, what we now know as the Caucasian, or Yaqub's, or Dr. Yaqub's grafted devil. See.
It says, not that they are the same, but have the ways of a human being. They are referred to as mankind, not the real original man, but a being made like the original, in the sense of human beings.
In the sense of human beings. And as Christians, I mean, you read your Bible, should not you want to know the truth? Let us, I mean, the Genesis, look at that genetics, Genesis, the book of Genesis. Let us, and it says, let us make man. Who is the us? Let us make man in our image and after our likeness. So that's a people, 59,000, that's going to make another people like unto themselves. Well, you'll say, well, that was God. And we don't disagree with you. We were gods.
Right.
Yahweh was the supreme ruler of his dispensation in time. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, simply put, supreme, meaning he had supreme wisdom and knowledge. And he was a being, a human being, supreme being. No one else knew what Mr. Yaqub knew but himself. He told his uncle that he was going to make an unlike people. And the uncle, who thought he knew pretty much, said, what? He told him that at 6 years old. What are you going to make except something that would make mischief and cause the shedding of blood? But Yaqub, knowing his genetic makeup, knowing what he was born to do, told them, I know what you know not. Read on.
It says, the Holy Quran throws a great light on the truth of the creation of this pale white race of devils. O mankind, surely we have created you from a male and a female. That's Surah 49, verse 15. This makes it very easy to understand to whom it is referring. What mankind?
What mankind?
Surely we created man from sperm mixed with ovum to try him. So we have made him hearing and seeing. Surah 76, verse 2. Inasmuch as these chapters have a further reference to the spiritual creation of the last messenger, it is
Go on.
Okay. It is equally true that they refer to the physical creation of the white race.
Of the white race. Now that spiritual creation of the last messenger. See, Yaqub was given 6,000 years for his made man to rule. He was a supreme being of his dispensation in time. But he was given a timeline of 6,000 years because after he had did what he had done, being born out of 30% dissatisfaction, we would reach the day that we are in now where we will be 100% dissatisfied with doing wrong, because our nature is to do right. It's to do right. So we're at 100% dissatisfaction, and that 100% dissatisfaction gave birth to the coming of God in the person of Master Father Muhammad, who would find one. See that lost sheep? Find one, and then bring him from through the knowledge and the supreme wisdom that he had, and giving birth to him, and thereby making a messenger to all of humanity. You know, for the end time is here.
That's right.
It is here.
That's right. I thank Allah.
Alhamdulillah.
In another place, the Holy Quran says, we have created man, and now he is an open disputer. Yaqub's race of devils were exiled in the hills and caves of West Asia, now called Europe.
Yes.
They were without anything to start civilization and became savages.
Yes.
They remained in such condition for 2,000 years. No guide or literature.
2,000 years they was up in the hill in cave sides of Europe.
Right.
No guide or literature.
That's right.
What doctrine did Dr. Yaqub, who was just as much a physical doctor as he was, had a doctrine of how to rule the original man?
That's right.
What doctrine he had, we took from them. When we stripped them down and took everything except the language, and gave them a little apron to cover their private parts. And I mentioned last year about the Masonic order. Last week about the Masonic order. Now the Masons, they say, well, that apron represents the master builder, and that's true, because Brick masons do wear an apron, but that's not what that was for. The Shriners, who is a mason that became a Shriner, went to another level. He understand that apron is talking about we running cable towing them across the Arabian
right.
desert into the hills and cave sides of Europe. He understands that.
That's right. The apron to hide their shame.
To hide their shame.
It states, they lost all knowledge of civilization. The Lord God of Islam taught me that some of them tried to graft themselves back into the black nation, but they had nothing to go by. A few were lucky enough to make a start and got as far as what you call the gorilla.
Come on.
In fact, all of the Maki family are from this 2,000-year history of the white race in Europe.
Okay, now, see now, this is where the role flips. He tried to make it look like we come from monkeys or the monkey come from us. No, 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 no. Read this, baby.
Okay.
Okay, you might have seen this on my timeline preparation, and read it. Please read it.
Okay, it says, Caucasian conceals many unflattering facts
Conceals many unflattering facts
about themselves in order to perpetuate the myth of their racial superiority.
in order to perpetuate the myth of
Yeah,
their
racial
racial superiority. Come on.
Hidden facts, 0.5% of Caucasians are born with a vestigial tail that's higher than other racial groups. 90% of Caucasians also carries the rhesus monkey factor. The Caucasians are not African albinos. Their white skin is a result of Neanderthal DNA, monkey DNA.
Monkey DNA. All right? And this is the picture. Okay? They don't deny. They try to say, well, that was our cave beginning, and then they turn around and say, well, talk about what was her name?
Put it on us.
Try to put it on us, and they want to talk about the first woman they said, Lucy. They want to make Lucy look like a cave woman and say that that's where they come from. She's no. We never lived such a history as a cave. We live an uncivilized history when we went down into the jungles of Africa, but we did not live a cave history. The monkey, if you were to take the ape and shave all of the hair off of the ape, he would look like that. Now, again, white folks don't deny it. So why would you not accept the truth that they know about themselves? Only five, how many percent, what's the percentage?
0.5%.
0.5%. That's a low number because they've been given civilization again. So because they've been given civilization, then they have a tendency now that they are upright to discontinue the growing of such tails. But they only got that because we sent them somebody while it was up in the caves of Europe, and that's Musa or Moses. Okay, baby, we can continue. Go on.
And you can also see that the tail is coming out here, and you can see the way the feet look, that those are feet similar to a monkey. They actually look like a monkey. So,
And of course, if you was a Caucasian and you had those features, you would definitely hide them
that's right.
because you would want nobody to understand your nature or your origin.
Okay. Okay, it says, being deprived of divine guidance for their disobedience, the making of mischief and causing bloodshed in the holy nation of the original black people by lies, they became so savage that they lost all their sense of shame.
All this sense of shame.
They started going nude as they are doing today.
Yeah.
And leading the so-called Negroes into the very acts. They became shameless. In the winter, they wore animal skins for clothes and grew hair all over their bodies and faces.
Before you read that, baby, I'm going to let you go back and read that. But understand what they said. They have made us all up into themselves.
That's right.
I mean, look at the clothing that they make for our women, and our women are walking around with tights on and have a nerve to call them pants.
Leggings.
Leggings, that's what they call them? Well, they call them leggings. I mean, everything that God put that can be easily hidden from the public view is totally exposed. I mean, savage, shameless. Our men, our young men, I mean, sagging, walking around with flip flops on. How do you commit a crime and try to get away with your pants hanging down and flip flops on? Shameless. Read on, baby.
Okay, it says, they started going nude as they are doing today, and leading the so-called Negroes into the very act. They became shameless. In the winter, they wore animal skins for clothing and grew hair all over their bodies and faces like all other wild animals.
Yes.
In those days, they made their homes in the caves on hillsides.
Hillsides.
There is a whole chapter devoted to them in the Holy Quran.
In the Holy Quran.
They had it very hard trying to save themselves from being destroyed by wild beasts, which were plentiful at that time in Europe.
Which were plentiful at that time in Europe. The Holy Quran in the 18th chapter also said that if you had seen them when they were in the cave, you would have ran you would have taken flight out of fear of what you were seeing. I mean, they know it and we know it too. Read on.
That's right. Being without a guide, they started walking on their hands and feet like all animals, and learned to climb trees as well as any of the animals.
Yes.
At night, they would climb up into trees carrying large stones and clubs to fight the wild beasts that would come prowling around at night to keep them from eating their families.
That's right.
Their next and best weapons were the dogs. They tamed some of these dogs to live in the cave with their families to help protect them from the wild beasts.
Yes.
After a time, the dog held a high place among the family because of his fearlessness to attack the enemies of his master.
Yes, and still do to this day. Read on,
right.
please.
Today the dog is still loved by the white race and is given more justice than the so-called Negroes, and is called the white man's best friend. This comes from the cave days.
Go on.
That's right. And I was just thinking about, how they love their dogs, and it's really sad because you have people that won't even pay child support, or males that won't pay child support, but you see them walking around with these dogs on leashes and they treat them so well, they feed them good, they're healthy, but you don't want to pay child support.
That done made us all up into themselves. And let me say, when they went down on all fours because they were not amongst us.
That's right.
See, we are to them what the light switch is to the light bulb. If you turn the switch off, you have no light. You turn the switch on, and of course you have light. So they are not being amongst us for 2,000 years. They went savage. They became like the animals of the field. But I want to go back to when we were talking about the graftation, when we talked about the mule and the mule,
Grapefruit.
and the mule and the grapefruit, the whole concept of graftation. Now this is something that the Portuguese who were here and the Spanish who were here used in what is called the Canary Islands. It's these group of islands right here off the coast of Africa. In the movie Roots, the very first Roots, if you notice, the Caucasian came back. He came into Africa when he was starting the slave trade to capture slaves, but he didn't use Caucasians to capture slaves. He had bred a whole group of mulattoes over here. People that looked like they were white, and they were unalike. So we were somewhat attracted to them, but once we got close to them, they captured us for the Caucasian. And the women and the people that they used to breed these mulattoes from were our women. They took our women from Africa and did it just like it was with the horse
Yes.
and the donkey.
Yeah.
See? But it always had to be the female.
Yeah. Use the female.
The female horse and the male of the stallion donkey. They did the same thing in slavery. When they wanted a strong black man, they used the mandinka, huh? And they bred him. Then they would put him in a breeding what?
A breeding farm.
A breeding farm where they bred us.
That's right.
Again, grafting themselves all up into us. Okay, but the thing was, they wanted to make sure that the black man didn't think that he was still a man, and so they would do what is called buck busting, where they would turn a black man, a strong black mandinka, over, and they would put their private parts up in him in front of all the women in the house, the breeding farm, so that they would see, this is not your man, I'm your man, and they would bust him down to nothing, and then make him breed with all of those women. And the same thing is happening today, why we as black men don't have no real respect for our women, but that's all has to change. What I'm saying, they have made us. See, we made them. Now they have made us all up into themselves. And you want to say that Allah did not come in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad, fulfilling Abraham's no for a surety?
Yes.
No, he fulfills that. And that's why you got a Farrakhan. You love Malcolm X, that's why you had a Malcolm. You like the ministers of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that's why you got us. We're men's men, and we won't stand down to this Caucasian who we came to take the rulership from.
That's right.
No, we gave him.
That's
The
right.
man has served his purpose.
That's right.
That's what we made him for. We're going to get into that when we talk with Closing the Gap, the book by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, being interviewed by Brother Jabril. The minister goes into it, why he was made,
That's right.
to serve a purpose.
That's right.
But that purpose has been done. Now we have become, once again, infinite material. Huh? We become a material that God can use.
That's
Huh?
right.
God can use to make the hardest substance known to man, something that won't break, won't bow. This is what our ancestors prayed for when they were looking back, singing songs of Zion.
That's right.
Swing low, swing chariot,
Sweet chin. That's
coming
right.
for to carry me home. Come on, sister, I done got carried away, baby.
Yes,
I'm
you
sorry.
have, because you took all my words. That's okay. I like when you do that.
Praise
Okay.
belongs to Allah.
Anyway, it says on page 120, after 2,000 years of living as a savage, Allah raised up Moses, to bring the white race again into civilization, to make their place, to take their place as rulers, as Yaqub had intended for them. And that's the point. That's why Yaqub was here, to do his job. That
He
was the job
served
that he
a purpose. That was his job.
did. Yes.
I mean, the black man is such a God that we have to experiment on ourselves to make a better God.
That's right.
So we let the weaker God, he can't say that he can't say that you didn't give me any justice. We gave you justice, and you know what? You can change. I didn't bring it out this year, but in the book of Isaiah, this week, but in the book of Isaiah, Minister Farrakhan talks about it on the time and what must be done about that nature can be changed. But we'll get into that next week when we start reading from Minister Farrakhan.
Okay, so that's what Yaqub had intended for them. So it says, Moses became their God and leader. He brought them out of the caves, taught them to believe in Allah, taught them to wear clothes, how to cook their food, how to season it with salt, what beef they should kill and eat,
Yeah.
and how to use fire for their service.
Yes,
Moses taught them against putting the female cow under burden.
that's right.
He established for them Friday as a day to eat fish and not to eat beef on that day. And fish is the main menu on Fridays in many of the whites' home today. And that is how I always wondered, like years
Why
ago,
everybody say
before
it?
the messengers teaching, why is that? Why does everybody seem to eat fish on Friday?
On Friday.
And that's why, okay? Because we follow them, because he made us all into himself.
Let me make a point. In the next 2 or 3 minutes, our YouTube camera is going to shut down, but we're going to continue right on with our live broadcast. Please.
Okay. They were so evil, savage, that Moses had to build a ring of fire around him at night. and he would sleep in the center of the ring to keep the devils from harming him. They were afraid of fire and are still afraid of fire today.
And they were afraid of fire, and they're still afraid of fire today. We brought them fire.
That's right.
Look, if Musa hadn't had that flame around him, he would have been cannibalized.
That's right.
They would have
That's
eaten
right.
him
That's true.
because that's what they were doing.
Yeah, and they actually made a movie about this some years ago called Quest for Fire.
Quest for
It was
fire.
their first time seeing fire. They showed it in the movie.
Yes, yes,
And they
yes.
were really afraid of fire, but like the book says, you know, he had to be civilized. So Musa came to do that, and that was one of the things that he gave them, fire.
That's right.
Okay, it says, Allah said that one day Moses told them he was going to have fish come up from the sea, so that tomorrow we will have some fish. On the next day, the fish were there. Moses had a boatload sent up from Egypt. Moses said, see, the sea came up last night and brought us some fish. One of the savages was a little smart, and he said to Moses, where's the water? Okay.
Go on.
From then on, Moses recognized the fact that he could not just say anything to them. He had a hard time trying to civilize them. Once they gave Moses so much trouble that he took a few sticks of dynamite, went up on the mountainside, placed them into the ground, and went back to get those who were giving him the most trouble.
Yes.
He said to them, stand there on the edge of this mountain, and you will hear the voice of God.
You will hear the voice of God.
They stood there, about 300 in number. Moses set the fuse off, and it killed all of them. The imams got after Moses for performing this trick on the devils.
Right.
Moses said to the imams, if you only knew how much trouble these devils give me, you would do as I do.